Good morning. Let's see if we can't get this up and running. All right, I think we're good. She said. Okay. So pretty close to 8:30. Nailed it, guys. Ready to go. Drop off, done, starting the day. Let's talk about posture. So, parents have bad posture because we're constantly carrying a child in front of us or on our back or dragging on our leg. So we're shifting our posture over to the side, our weight is shifting. We carry a kid on our hip for, I don't know, I'm assuming up until 14 years. Good morning. And we get out of alignment. You have a desk job, you start your day and you're having your coffee and you're having your meetings and everything's great. And then over the course of the day, you come in and you bring yourself forward, and here you go. If you drive in your car for work, like I do, over the course of the day, you start and you have your wonderful posture, and then like you're in traffic, so you come forward, and then you're here, and then all of a sudden you're back to being 16, driving with one hand or your knee, and you can't see out any of your mirrors, and you do that enough times in a row, your posture gets funky. So what can you do in the immediacy to get your posture better? You can set up your workspace ergonomically. So you can set up your workspace so that your screen is coming in at your eyes. Your knees and your feet are 90-90. So what is that? What does 90-90 mean? We're going to go all the way back here. So my feet are flat on the floor. There is a 90-degree angle at my knees and a 90-degree angle at my hip. So for this chair, that's not really 90. So I'm going to need some lumbar support if I'm sitting in this chair. Look at that hamstring work. If I'm sitting in this chair all day, I'm going to need something that brings my shoulders in line with my hips so that my feet are flat. They come straight up to my knees, 90-degree angle into my hips, 90-degree angle into my lumbar. And so get yourself support. If you have a car that leans back too much, get yourself a little back pillow. They don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be anything exciting. God, grab a tiny squishmallow. Something to support you so that you're maintaining those good curves. So you're maintaining those good curves in your neck. You don't want to be here. Here's over shoulders. So you should have a curve in your neck this way, curve in your back, and then a curve in your low back. If you're at a desk, that's a good setup. If you're in a car, the best way that I figured out to get your posture good in the car is honestly sit up as tall as you can, put your feet where they're going to be while you're driving, and fix your mirrors so that you can see out of your side mirrors and your front mirror in beautiful posture. The second that you go out of that beautiful posture, you will lose all of your sight lines, and that's a really good key to your body that you're out of alignment. Get back into your posture. So let's see, what can we do intermittently throughout the day to make sure that we're not getting those, even if we can't get into those poor postural positions, how are we ensuring that we're getting out of those sort of junked up postural positions? So those poor posture positions tend to put us in three spaces. One, anterior shoulder position. So our shoulders start here, and over the course of the day, they come here. And mostly they come here because this is, we're reaching, we're typing, we're leaning, we're getting tired, we're talking, we're doing all those things. And when we do all those things, our shoulders don't line up with our ears, they line up with like our jaw. I've also been ensuring head against the headrest while driving as much as possible. As long as your lumbar is supported, absolutely. So sometimes the chairs in cars go way, way back, and, or if you have a ponytail. I hate my ponytail. Like, I stick it up on top of my head because one of many reasons. One is I'm lazy. Two is it's where it goes and it's crazy hair, so it is what it is. But three is if my head is on the headrest, but I have a big ponytail, I find myself in that poor postural position. So yeah, short hair is good for that headrest position, or just stick it up on top of your head. So maintaining that posture is important. Keeping your keeping your ears over your shoulders in line with your hips when you're sitting. And where we come as we come forward, we extend that neck. So instead of having our ears over our shoulders, our ears become in line with our, like, I don't know, mid chest. And then because of that, we end up with, instead of a lordosis, we end up with sort of like a curved back. And so the little muscles in your low back are working really, really hard. Your hip flexors are working really, really hard, sort of pulling back to front to stabilize you, because they want you to be stable. They don't want you to fall over, even though you're sitting in a chair. And you get really tight through the pecs. You get really tight through the back of your neck, which means it's really hard to go into that cervical sort of neutral position. I realize that looks extreme. But like in general, if you're comfortable, if your shoulders are sitting where they should over your hips, your ears should be in line with your shoulders. And that should be a relatively comfortable position to rest in. But what happens a lot is we get a lot of strain up through these muscles because they're overstretched as we sit in that forward head position. So chin tucks are a good way to fire those front muscles. Resisted chin tucks, so put your hand on the back of your head and press back. That might be uncomfortable on your shoulder because if your shoulders are sitting in that forward position, then you might get a little impingement as you reach up, which might sort of bother it when you're sleeping. And so rolling your shoulders back is a great one throughout the day. Roll them back, pull them down. Roll them back, pull them down. So a lot of times we talk about where the shoulder blades are, and that's a really good way to open the shoulder. I like to think about where the humeral head is too, where this bone is as it comes up into the shoulder joint. And for that, you can just pull them into the joint a little bit. So a good way to sort of get the feel for what that is hook your hands and pull them apart, and you should feel that joint space close up. You should feel that humeral head pull back into the socket a little bit more, and also your shoulder blades firing. My watch is giving us input. So that's a really good one to sort of fire those postural muscles during the day, and you feel your chin wanting to pull back a little bit. And also, when you fire those postural muscles, if you pay attention, you can feel your abdominal muscles kick in too. And so because we end up with that tight hip flexor forward lean position, your abdominal muscles sort of go on stretch, on slack. They're not really doing their job to hold you up. So as you position yourself over your hips, tighten your abs just a little bit. Don't go nuts. Think about, like, you know, when your kid comes at you full speed and they're about to knock you in the gut with their head and you brace for it. Do that like 40%. And breathe out at the same time. So just contract your abdominals, but also breathing, because if you hold your breath, you push out on your abs, you push down on your pelvic floor, you push up on your diaphragm, you get an outward pressure instead of an inward contraction, and you do yourself zero favors when it comes to that. Getting your butt to fire throughout the day, do a glute set. Pop yourself up. This is how you know you're doing a glute set. You're squeezing your butt cheeks together. Getting those muscles to fire will give your hip flexors a little bit of a break, so that you're not relying on them all day to hold you there, which means that when you get up, you're going to be less stiff and less restricted. Those neck stretches that we went over last week, because these guys and these guys, when you come forward, they get shortened, and so they get really tight. Your upper traps come in, your scalenes get tight, all of these little neck muscles in here. So doing those neck stretches that we went over last week, there and back, oh, so good. There and back. There you go. And then the upper trap stretches where you hook your hand underneath your chair. Thank you, Siri. You pull the opposite way. So this hand is hooked on the bottom of the chair to give me an anchor point, and then I'm stretching out that upper trap. And you can go forward, you can go back, wherever you need to find that stretch. And you shouldn't feel a stretch at the joint spaces. You shouldn't feel a stretch in your shoulders. Anywhere where two bones meet is not where we're stretching. We're stretching the muscle in between. So just like any exercises we do, we're exercising the muscle in between the stretches. We're not trying to open up the joint spaces. We're trying to stretch the muscles in between. So when you do this stretch, you should feel it down the neck into this space right here between your clavicle and your upper trap, because we're not looking to feel it. We don't want to pinch in the neck. If you stretch and you get a pinch on the other side, do a couple isometrics. So just sort of resist it. I know, look at it. All you can see is my eyebrows go big. So I'm pushing my head into my hand and I'm pushing my hand into my head. So I'm just resisting that motion. And then forward and then back. And again, good shoulder alignment. If you have pain with that, do it at the wall. Just push your head into the wall. The wall's not going to move. And you can do that forward, back, side, and side. That's how walls work. They don't really, they don't move. Awesome. Okay, so we've gone over that neck tightness. This is a good one to do like at a red light if you're driving a lot. Same with this one. You can do these while you're waiting. You can do glute sets while you're waiting at a red light. And that diaphragmatic breathing. So breathe out, control your abdominal muscles, lift up your pelvic floor. All of those things together, that diaphragmatic breathing can really help brace your core in a way that you don't need to do when you're leaning forward. When you're leaning forward, your gut gets slack, your shoulders come forward, your back gets slack, like your shoulder blades open up, so those muscles aren't aligned well. So that diaphragmatic breathing, where you breathe in, fill up your abdomen, so you're actually filling out your what looks like your stomach. And then when you breathe out, you pull your abdomen in, express that air out, and lift up your pelvic floor. That's a really good way to inform your body of how it's supposed to be working. That's really good for postural support too. Because again, throughout the day, we get lazy, we get tired, we get forward, and we don't remind those muscles what their jobs are. So if you can take a break for glute sets, all of a sudden you'll find yourself sitting upright. Like your butt is firing in a way that reminds your abdominals and your shoulder blades what their job is. And when those guys are aligned, your head goes, oh, we want to find the horizon here, not here. Same horizon, totally different neck posture. So, all right, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. You're tight, and your hamstrings and your hip flexors get pretty tight throughout the day too, mostly because of the posture that you're sitting in. We talked about that 90-90, foot up to the knee, knee up to the hip. So your hamstrings are the muscles that bend your knee back, and your hip flexors are the ones that bring your knee up. And so they're in a shortened position. They're not crazy firing all day, but they are firing at a low level to sort of maintain that 90-90 position. Now, some people sit with one leg out. Don't do that. Monks do their pelvis. Some people tuck their feet underneath them. That puts a really low level stretch on your nerves all day and your muscles in a weird way. It could lead to I don't know, foot stuff or hip stuff, or especially our postpartum bodies. Treat them kindly. Put them in good alignment. Your body wants to be where it wants to be in good alignment. And so that's a really good place to put them. So hamstring stretch and hip flexor stretch, I'll give you my two favorites. If you need to modify them, please do. So this is a rolly chair. Don't do it on a rolly chair. I'm not being safe, but, well, all right, tell you what, I'll also be safe. This is a table. It's pretty high. Hook your foot up. Hips are lined up. You're going to drop into your standing knee. So you're going to feel a stretch in the middle of your quad, and you're going to press your pelvis forward. That's going to open it up a little bit more into that hip flexor. And then you can stand up, put your back a little bit, arch your back a little bit. You're going to get a little bit more of a medial hip flexor stretch. That's a good one. Hamstrings. I like this for hamstrings. Just lean back. This should not send a zing from your neck to your foot. If it sends a zing from your neck to your foot, throw me a message. We'll work it out. That's a nerve pull, and that your nerve can get sort of caught up along its plan. We do not want to irritate a nerve. So if you have a nerve pull, don't irritate your nerve. This one you should feel right in the bulk of the back of your thigh. So you're going to bring your feet in a little bit, in this way, not this way. So in this way, not this way. So your feet are in, your hips go back, lean on the counter. It just supports you. This way you don't have to do all the ab work while you get the stretch in. And then you should feel it right in the middle. I realize I'm like black on black today, guys. The best. Right in the middle of that hamstring is where you should feel it. So that's the bulk of posture, the basics, the way to start today to make sure that you're lined up. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, 90-90, hips and knees, feet flat on the floor. If that's not a setup that you can do at your desk, find a way to do it. It might be putting an Amazon box under your feet. My chair doesn't go up high enough, so I have to lower everything down. But maintaining those small little changes, setting your mirrors up so that you have good posture while you drive, doing those like red light exercises, the glute sets, pulling your hands apart to get your shoulder blades firing, doing those stretches throughout the day to loosen things up, doing that diaphragmatic breathing, all of those things will feed in over time to get your posture where it needs to be. If you have any questions, if you have any problems, if anything doesn't feel right when you do it or sound right or you just don't understand, shoot me a message and we'll work it out. But I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye.